His photograph was in over 65 newspapers in color.
Summers, who's Summers?
What hobbies do you have besides of MMA? I know it's a difficult question because you focus a lot on the sport, but what would be something on a day off what you practice?
I love to listen music. I listen a lot of classic music, jazz music, and also lately, probably I'm getting older, so I'm getting into country music.
Okay.
So yeah, I switched on. You know, like every fighter have his period when he's like heavy on gangster rap and all those like high beat music.
Yes.
But now I really like classic music. One thing people don't know, I play piano for 7-8 years.
Okay, yeah, I saw it on the picture on Instagram.
So I love classic music. Gets me relaxed. Yeah.
Okay, so if you only could listen to one song forever, what song would it be? Only one song. You have to.
I like one song I'm listening lately. It's called "Something in the Orange" of Zach Bryan.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful song. Yeah,
Okay,
I like
we'll
that song.
put that in the video. Okay.
Something in the orange tells me we're not done. To you, I'm just a man. To me, you're all I am. Where the hell am I?
So what does a typical free day, if you have one, look for you? Do you get up and go jogging for yourself, or are you doing meeting some family members?
So I don't believe in a free day. So for me, I'm blessed to do what I love as a work. My work is my passion. So usually my free days consist in like study a lot about the game. I watch a lot of tapes, a lot of fights. Sometimes if I don't have any show going on, if it's not UFC or something, I end up in some weird streaming in Russia watching some fights.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my free day. I really love to have time to study the evolution and the progress of the game.
What do you think? What is the biggest evolution step in MMA over the last 2 or 5 years? What has progressed the most?
So we basically can say 3 aspects. In the modern MMA, people switch stance a lot. So as you know, back in the day, old school MMA striking was like a rule, not saying like you have only one stance and you work only that stance and you don't change stance. I think changing stance have revolutionized the game. For one reason also, like another aspect is calf kick. Calf kick have changed the game in sort of like technical aspect, and if you're hurt on the calf and you are not having ability of changing stance, you finish in your fight. And definitely leg locks.
Okay.
Leg locks have been, in terms of like what grappling brings to MMA, was like a huge evolution in that aspect in the last 5 to 7 years. Yeah.
What was the best advice from a mentor or from a coach that you've got?
The best advice I learned from my experience, it's discipline is the key. The best advice I can give to a young fighter is actually connected into what's the best friend for a fighter and the worst enemy for a fighter. The best friend for a fighter is the discipline, and the biggest enemy for a fighter is his ego.
Okay.
So if someone wants to progress in this sport, they have to keep these 2 things in mind. His best friend have to be disciplined with food, with structure, with lifestyle, with training. And the worst enemy to defeat is the ego. No, sometimes that's the way you lose the war, is when someone touches your ego. No, he lands a big low kick to you, and you want to show him, I'm gonna land it stronger, boom, and you get taken down.
Yeah.
When someone is able to touch your ego, it's controlling you.
If you had a different path, so let's say you wouldn't go into the career of an MMA coach, what different path would you choose? Would you be a construction worker or a YouTuber, or?
I will choose a job which helps you to solve problems. Probably I would like to be a doctor, and like things which like you have a big problem on the table and you have to solve. I always had this type of brain. I always, since a kid, I remember, I was very young and I was thinking a bit different. And my things was always like how I can solve a problem. That's where I feel I do differentiate myself as a coach. It's I treat the sport very scientifically. Of course, we have a huge part of the emotional part, which you have to use it on your advantage, not on your disadvantage. A lot of guys, they get too emotional in a fight and they lose control of what's going on. But when you have like a scientific approach, numbers, data and stuff like that, it's about statistic. If you do things which gets you to win the fight, you're gonna have more probability to win the fight. Of course, we have always like things which can change, but definitely if I had a different path, would be related on solving problem in some way, in some form.
What was your personal biggest challenge you had to get over or manage to get right? If you feel comfortable to share it with us.
So my biggest challenge in terms of my job was not getting the noises of people around you stop you from getting to your goals and your dreams. Because what I've done in Italy wasn't ever done before. So I create a team from nothing. It was a project, Martial Arts for Integration. And my own family, my own people around me was telling me, Renato, like you can't live with that. And I had a massive job offer from a very big company, IKEA. And I was supposed to be traveling around the world, getting paid very well. And I refused that offer, and I was very young, I was 19, 18. And my father wasn't happy at all. And I say to my dad, I'm gonna do something with the sport. I love what I'm doing, and I will have been that already, working 8 hours, and going home. I will feel my life was wasted. So definitely, my biggest challenge was to be strong on my identity and stick with what I love the most and believe in my vision. And and stay strong on that.
So what is your message for upcoming fighters that have challenges like mentally or are a little bit scared of getting into fighting and stuff? What is your...
I'm very glad you asked me this question, because I have an insane amount of fighters who constantly message me about that and ask me question about that, say to me, coach, like I'm scared when I'm fighting, or like I get anxiety, what I should do. So I like to say that to a young fighter, or even like a fighter with experience who still got anxiety, emotion when he goes to compete and doesn't feel he's performing on the highest level. It's visualization. I divide visualization in 3 moments. So we have like a visualization which is called external visualization, and it's done 8 to 5 weeks to the fight, and you imagine the fights as an external person. Like I'm imagining myself fighting with my opponent and I'm holding the camera. And I see how the fight plays out. To 5 to 3 weeks, we have an internal visualization, which is me imagining the fight in first person, imagine the opponent, imagine slipping the shots, imagine the game plan, etc. And the 3 to 5 day, which is almost done like everyday visualization, is done with your teammate, with your coach, simulating the game plan, exactly what's gonna happen in the fight. And this is gonna help your brain to be programmed. And so when you fight, the day of the fight, you're not gonna feel it's something new, you know? Will be less emotion involved, because in your brain you're already seeing those things happen.
Perfect. Thank you, Renato.
Welcome.